Oh, don't give me that look. Don't give me that look. No, 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 no. I can explain myself. I can explain myself why I got a big slice of cake. I can explain myself. I apologize for not posting a video sooner than I would like to post a video. Because I wanted to make sure that when I do make this video, that it's very understanding, thorough, and everyone is able to understand where I'm coming from with this, because this is going to be blowing people's minds. People are gonna look at me like, what the heck is Thurlily talking about? Like, what? So yes, this, and I'm giving you guys a warning now, this is gonna be a long video. So this is why I have grabbed myself a slice of cake. So I needed this so badly. What's up, everyone? I hope you guys all had a fantastic day. My name is Thurlily2K. Oh geez, I can't even get the name out of my mouth because I'm already eating cake. Oh my gosh, let's try this again. Hello everyone, my name is Thurlily2K, and I hope everyone had a fantastic day. I know I had, because I'm very excited to be creating this video for you guys, and it's going to be an amazing video. So I know it's been a while since I last made a video, but I've been preparing for this one because I really had taken the time to create the video, because I've been going back to the game, listening to other people. Yes, I have went on other people's theory videos and listened into their theory videos, and been making mental notes and jotting notes and right. But trust me, this is going to be something you guys would truly enjoy. Trust me, okay? Because this will be focusing on Amanda the Adventurer game series, the lore of it, and my what if theory on the reason behind of Hameln and their idea of this animated Amanda the Adventurer, and what their idea was of bringing these entities to life, and what were their reason behind of the kidnappings of these children and experimenting on them. And although I have to say, it, in my opinion, and I always say this because I love games like these, and it was truly a remarkable game. Dread XP had done a really great job on this game. And I know a lot of people, even though Amanda the Adventurer 3 was released like a couple months ago, and I know a lot of people was not too happy about the last game, because they said that they feel like it was rushed, even though I understand where people has come from with that, and I can understand why people had, even if you guys are watching this video and you feel as if it has been rushed, I can understand the reasons why, like, people feel as if the last game was rushed. But to be honest, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, don't turn the video off, please. Don't ignore me, okay? I don't think that the last game was rushed. I think there was a lot that was said, shown, even in the previous two games, even in the previous Amanda the Adventurer 1 and 2. I think there was a lot in all three of them that I was able to clearly picture and put together a possible understanding of what was going on, you know, between Hameln and what was going on with Rebecca and the whole kidnapping of the children and these entities. So I've been pondering and thinking, like, what if people have got the whole idea of these ideas behind Amanda the Adventurer wrong? Don't X out, please. Don't cancel on me, guys. Don't cancel on me, because, and yes, I have my notes, okay, ready to go, because I'm here to back it up. Because as I'm going back to the game, as I'm watching these other videos, you know, of these theories, and there were still questions that was left unanswered. There were questions that I was thinking and wondering. Hold on, because I do have my questions. I have my notes, okay? Because here were the questions that I had that was still, I think, left unanswered, but I am now able to answer now in this video. Because one, because I understand we had the two entities. We had the Colton anomaly and we had the Shepherd anomaly, okay? Now, my question is, what was the point of having just those two entities? You know, why couldn't there be more of those entities if the purpose from Hameln was to create more of these entities to take over the world? That's what we thought the idea was, you know? My next question is, why couldn't Rebecca, who was playing as Amanda in the show, talk to us on these episodes if she could, you know? Because she knew that we were watching her. We knew that. But why she couldn't really talk to us the way we want her to talk to us? She was able to a bit at the end of Amanda the Adventurer 1, a bit in the second game, and even we got to see it a lot in the third game too. But why though, you know? Now my next question is, how come we saw these shifts of behaviors of Amanda and Rebecca throughout the game, like throughout the scenes, throughout the episodes? Like, what are we missing? Like, what is going on? Like, and I do have more that I would like to cover too. It was just not these questions, but I do have more to cover. So please tune in with me, okay? And I did some digging and found answers to not only these questions, but more topics that I would like to cover. And now, before I go into this video, this may trigger some people who are this may trigger people who are, you know, religious, who of course we're going to get into the topic of cults and demons and worshiping those demons. So this might trigger you guys. So if you guys are not okay and not into this, do not tune into my video. Please do not, because I am going to get into these kinds of things. And also, we are going to get into a lot of mental health topics. And if this is going to be triggering for you too, do not tune into this video, because it is going to be a lot. This was a lot for me to take in, because I was breaking down, crying as I was unfolding the puzzles to this, because I was just sitting there like, what if, you know, like, what if this had really happened, you know? So, but if you are going to still continue to watch the video, I ask you to be cautious as we go throughout this video. We're going to be going into different topics, main topics. So let's get to this. You might want to grab some popcorn, a good drink, because this is going to be a long video, but I'm going to try to talk quick and try to make it very detail oriented, so that way everyone is able to understand. And let's get into this, okay? Now, Now, all of us know the basics of Amanda the Adventurer, the Hameln entertainment, our player Riley, and the characters and the dynamic of this whole background of the game series. So I'm not going to go into that, because everyone who have played Amanda the Adventurer, or even watch watch it or whatever, that already knows these things. So I'm not going to get into it. But I would like to first lay down the timeline. And the reason why I would like to lay down the timeline, because it gives us an overview of the time and events. And yes, I have digged into the game and was taking notes, because don't get me wrong, this timeline may not be correct, but this is what I was collecting from what we have uncovered in the game series, the entire game series, from Amanda the Adventurer 1 to Amanda the Adventurer 3, okay? Now, let's first start off with between the years of 1999 and the early 2000s. Now, we have this guy named Sam Colton, and he created the show Amanda the Adventurer with her daughter, with his adoptive daughter, Rebecca Colton. Now, this was back then kind of like a live show that was on public broadcasting TV, of course, with the help of also with Kate, who was a librarian at the Kinsdale Public Library. And we get to see, like, of course, in the video, in one of the tapes, we get to see the early creation of Amanda the Adventurer, with Rebecca being young as she was, and she was so cute in the video. It was so wonderful to see that. But we got to see what Amanda the Adventurer was like before it became animated. Now, we're going to get into in 2001. Now, the reason why I say in 2001 is because, and I'll get into that in a bit. Now, in 2001, this may or may not be correct, but I think this was the time when Amanda the Adventurer was released as an animated show that was created by, the idea by Hameln Entertainment. As we know, because of course Hameln, one of the representatives from Hameln the Entertainment, have brought the idea up to Sam Colton, and like, hey, we really want to make your show come to life. Why don't we just turn this into an animated show? Why don't we just start off with a few episodes, see where this goes, and if we bring in any viewers, and let's see where things go, and maybe we can come up with a deal, you know? And the reason why I say in 2001 is because in Amanda the Adventurer 1, we seen the tape of Oh No Accidents. And at the end of the Oh No Accidents, we see that at the end it says Amanda the Adventurer, and then 2001 Hameln Entertainment. Now, that could be the year Hameln Entertainment was created, and as we all know, in real life, when we see those kinds of credits, those years are normally the publication of which the show or the movie was created, or the episode was created. So that's what I was getting from that show. It could be that the show had to be created around 2001. Now, in 2002, that's when Hameln and Sam Colton had made that deal, where they have signed the rights over to Hameln Entertainment, and this is where Sam has signed off the rights, Rebecca has signed off the rights. They both signed contracts to give everything away to Hameln Entertainment, let them take over. And during this time of the year, a lot has happened, because of course we know that not only that Hameln was given the rights of the animated Amanda the Adventurer show, we know that the cult and anomaly was created during this time, and that this was when they started experimenting on Rebecca Colton into linking her into as Amanda, and also linked to herself as the Colton anomaly. And also this was when kids were starting to go missing. And not only that, Sam was also was holding as hostage. Like, they was holding him captive. Like, they wouldn't let him go. Like, breaking that father and daughter family relationship ties apart. So that was a lot that was going on in 2002. Now in 2003, there was two things that happened that was we know in 2003, because of course we got to see the tape, and of course in Man of the Adventurer 3 we got to see the tape on April 8th 2003, where we saw Sam Colton escaped his room to go into Rebecca's room, and that's when he got ambushed by the entity, and died, of course. And also during that year, a couple months after this incident happened, because this is when the anomaly escaped, went off, did his, like, and the search, I don't know, they said the search was off until further notice. That's when, around September, October of that same year of 2003, that's when they created the Shepherd anomaly, which was the original idea from Woolley's character, which we know Marcus Maltman was the character behind Woolley. So we know that was created. Now, we know that in around 2005, the show was canceled. And we know this because on the news, it says years after after Sam went missing, that the show was canceled. And of course, now we're going to go into, of course, 2013, and that's when we are now in the present years of when Riley is going through the tapes and showing up and solving the unresolved problem of Hameln Entertainment, and what is going on with the tapes and Rebecca that Aunt Kate couldn't have never finished. And we know that it was the year of this is the year of 2013, because in the prequel of Amanda the Adventurer 3, we saw that there was a guy who snuck into the Hameln Entertainment, and he was in that same room that us as the player, Riley, went into. And in the screen, there was the date that was shown on there that was the year of 2003. So 10 years later, that would be 2013. So that is the overall timeline that I have put together. So now that we have put together this timeline, we're going to now get into the main topics, and that's what I want to get into, because this is all going to make sense. But first, take a break. Okay. Now we're gonna get in. I want to get into the topic of these two entities, which is the Colton anomaly and the Shepherd anomaly. Now, I know for years, there were people who were talking about these entities and how maybe the idea of Hameln they were going to do was to use them and even make more, probably to take over the world. Like, because of course Hameln is a cult. We all know that. Hameln Entertainment is a cult that's been around since the Middle Ages, and they was able to use ritual practice to bring these anomalies to life. And now I'm not, but come on, don't get me wrong. After years and years, even when the Amanda the Adventurer show got canceled, Hameln Entertainment still got those two entities. Why? I mean, so Hameln is a cult. That, yeah, we all know that, of course. And they do many things. I mean, for God's sakes, we know they kidnap children and use them for experimentation for years. And put them into the show. They do many things, but there were hints in the game that leads me to a conclusion that gives me a what if, gives me a different view of these entities, because I like to think outside the box. Normally I would go into a straight line like, oh yeah, these entities are going to be used to take over the world, to destroy everyone. And no, because yes, there are cults that would summon demons to send them off and attack people, but no, okay, hear me out, okay? What if the two entities, the cult and anomaly, which we know is linked to Rebecca, the shepherd anomaly, which is linked to Marcus Maltman, Wooly. What if they were created for another reason? What if I tell you that the cults can also summon demons for other purposes, for other reasons? Now, because as I was going through the game, taking notes and observing and just mentally talking to myself. Yes, I was literally mentally talking to myself. Now, and I did my research. In mythology times, there were sayings of demons that were guardians and destroyers that were summoned by cult religion groups to guard or destroy an artifact. That's when it clicked me. See where I'm coming from? See where I'm getting to. Slow down. See? That's when it clicked me. Because it is true. I did look this up. Look it up. Because I looked it up myself. Because I was questioning myself. Like, is it possible for an entity to be summoned to protect something? Because we know this in the game. We know that the Colton Anomaly was protecting the tapes. We confirmed it when Joanna said it herself that it was protecting the tapes.
There, begged her to run. I didn't want her to get hurt because of me, but then she... I think it was protecting the tapes. We didn't know.
And we know that the Shepherd Anomaly was sent after people to what? To destroy the tape, to locate the cult. First of all, to locate the Colton Anomaly, and to destroy the tapes.
I've led those psychos right to her house. They're the ones who burned it down. It was to destroy those tapes. I know it.
To destroy people that it's in the way of having the tapes. And the Colton Anomaly is killing people who are trying to harm the tapes, destroy the tapes. Cults believe that these demons, these demons that protects these artifacts are called guardian entities. Now, this is real. Look it up. There are demons that protect artifacts called guardian entities. And they were used from a ritual practice to be summoned to become guardians to protect the cult's artifacts that they have, because the artifact that it's an object that has forbidden knowledge, power, apocalyptic potential. See where I'm coming from? And how it works is that the guardian entity is bound to the object, the artifact, in which we know that in the game, the cult and anomaly is bound to not only Rebecca, but also the tapes, because they're linked together. They are part of each other. They inhabit, the guardian entity inhabits the artifact or artifacts. Just like how the cult and anomaly inhabit the tapes, and also, as we all know, the tapes are also linked with Rebecca, and now the anomaly is also linked with Rebecca. And as the saying goes, and seriously, look this up, it's true. As the saying goes, with the guardian entities in the cult religions, anyone who touches it, which they're referring to the artifact, without permission will be harmed. And the object must be kept in special conditions. We sing that in the games. How many times have we ran into these anomalies? How many times did these other players ran into these anomalies? Because they have touched it? The purpose of the guardian entities is to keep the unworthy away, punish thieves, and enforce sacred laws. That explains why the anomaly comes after anyone who touches the tapes, or even tries to destroy the tapes, or even harms Rebecca in any way, or comes after Rebecca in any ways, or even make Rebecca feel some type of way, you know? I mean, yeah, there is emotions that runs deep with Rebecca and the anomaly, but what if that was the anomaly's sole purpose? What if that was the entity's called, the guardian entity? What if what if the anomaly was created by Hameln to protect the tapes and control Rebecca, using the tapes to link Rebecca into these episodes as Amanda, of course. And we know that, of course, since these tapes are ritually, psychologically, through biochemical experimentation, we know that somebody might get their hands on them. As we all know, there's been people that have been trying to get their hands on these tapes, or trying to get their hands on Rebecca. They knew somebody was going to get their hands on the tapes or Rebecca. So, to make sure that it doesn't happen, what if they summon a guardian entity to prevent it from happening? So why summon this guardian entity? Well, according to the internet, when I researched this, it's because it makes the artifacts, which of course as we know is the tapes, and even like Rebecca, untouchable, a tool of control, in which we know Rebecca is a tool of control, and unquestionable, in which is why the anomaly follows people who touch the tapes, or even tries to get in touch with Rebecca through Amanda, through the show. And as we all know, it protects Rebecca as well, because Hameln's using her as a tool to control, hence why she can send it after us if we piss her, make her mad. which is of course the reason why Sam died, because he triggered Rebecca, and there was a surge of energy that summoned the anomaly. And so next one, and before I get into that, because I want to make sure I have a good transition to get into the next anomaly. Okay, so as we know, when these events were going down, such as when Sam went into Rebecca's room, the anomaly was summoned, and then the anomaly escaped. And when the tapes were taken and spread throughout locations, that's when it was out of Hameln's reach, and they needed a way to not only locate the anomaly, the Colton anomaly, they also needed a way to locate the tapes as well. And what are they going to do? Who are they going to send? And I found out about this because in one of the audio logs in the last game, Amanda the Adventurer 3, they talk about the one and only, the Shepherd anomaly, and what the purpose was for the Shepherd anomaly.
Phase 3 Preliminary Report on Project Shepherd, October 10th, 2003. We are pleased to report that our attempts to recreate a stable, trainable facsimile of the Colton anomaly may be turning a meaningful corner. While the personnel cost has been slightly higher than we expected, we have generated a specimen that appears to be intensely focused on destruction of any tapes connected with the Colton asset, namely those tapes that contain recordings of the animated avatar of the asset. We speculate that this focus may extend to the anomaly, though further testing will be helpful if such testing is possible. We have selected the name Shepherd for this iteration of the project.
As described in the log, the Shepherd anomaly is what we like to call the destroyer entity. I don't even really need to describe what the destroyer entity is, because it is just as it is explained. And it explains why we saw in one of the endings of Amanda the Adventurer 2 why the Shepherd anomaly killed Joanna when she had the tapes. And she gave one of the tapes to Riley, and the Shepherd anomaly went after us when the tape was given to us. So, it also explains, like, in the screen, on Amanda the Adventurer 3, it shows a little log, the experiment log, 23, where it said that they was sent the Shepherd once the Colton anomaly and the tapes have been confirmed. It makes sense why all these years it was just only those two entities and not more. That's just my what if. That's just my idea. I mean, that's just my what if. Let's get down to the true purpose of this video. true purpose of Hameln's attention. Because now we know about these two entities. Because what if that was the sole purpose of these two entities and why they were created? Now we just have to figure out about the children. I mean, everyone has their own ideas. But me, I like to think outside the box. I like to think of maybe another reason of Hameln's attention behind of the animated show and the kidnapping of the children and experimentation. Because once again, there were a lot of signs and a lot of hints lingering around that had me think of a very specific conclusion, in which it does make a lot of sense now. And I will get into that because, forgive me, and it has nothing to do with my knowing of cult religion. No, it's nothing to do with that. But okay, now we're going to go into knowing what about the children, what about the kidnapping, what about the experimentation, because we know that these kids, of course, became part of the show. We know that they were kidnapped through the sigils, through these messaging that was going through the Amanda the Adventurer show. And we know this because there were tapes on there that was talking about how there were sigils, there were symbols in the show that Aunt Kate had was like documenting and saw in the show. And there were also, like, we've seen these ourselves in the tapes of these bad influences, of using a knife and cooking without a parent's supervision and going somewhere all alone by yourself, or it was a lot. And Hameln was able to also see through the eyes and track these kids down and select them and take them and make them part of the show, which it's so wrong, it's so messed up. And I've been thinking about this for a while because it all ties to, of course, Rebecca, especially how she, like, this conclusion I came up with, like, it ties to Rebecca, and especially how she acts in the game. And people have thought Hameln was going to create these demons from these children, and that's why they create the entities. But me, I don't think that was Hameln's idea. I don't think that's what they were trying to do. That's me, though. And if you, and one of the ideas I was getting was from the ending of Amanda the Adventurer 3, the announcer, when we went inside the cult's room underground, we went inside there and we heard the announcer that was talking. And of course, I'm not going to play it all, but I will play a bit of a clip of the guy, what he was saying in the game, and a little bit of what he was saying. So I'm gonna play that for you real quick.
Child's imagination, unspoiled by truth, can plant a seed of the impossible. And that seed's roots will take hold in the soil of reality, untethered by its limitations. But our children need guidance, and so we shall guide them.
So what was he really saying? And I was just taking, like, key points, context clues from that phrase, from the phrase he was talking about. And from what he was saying, that is that they would keep the children from the real world truths so they can shape their minds, use them, experiment on them, because children are what they are enlisted as. It was being innocent, and they would use that innocence to to spread their group's ideology while rejecting the outside reality and moral limits. And when I mean spreading their ideology is, of course, through the Amanda show, in which they will have Amanda talk about bad things, bad decisions and influence.
When something bad happens, but it's not anybody's fault. Accidents can happen in your house.
To the kids on the television, and also telepathing the sigils, the symbols in the show, in which it had me thinking of an idea of what was Hamlet doing, what was the reason why they were doing these things, what was the true purpose of Hameln in creating this show and taking these children, even Rebecca also, like, what was they doing for them? And it had me thinking of one of the most ritual practices in the culture, and I also confirmed it when I was playing Amanda the Adventurer 3 in the prequel timeline, before you play as Riley, there was a particular screen that popped up in the big big television thing in the room, and it said the initials of KDOH, but there was another word that said this. And I'm not the one, and it makes sense. And here, come on. We have played games in the past where it involved cult religious like, and it had me thinking, because it makes sense on why they are taking these children, why are they putting them into the show, what message are they trying to get across, what are their intentions, why were they using Rebecca, and it makes sense, as if, what if, and hear me out, like I said, this is my theory and my lore idea, but what if Hamlin's true ritual intentions on these children was just doing rebirths on them? Rebirths into the dimension of that animated show. Now I know that may sound crazy, ridiculous, but hear me out, because I'm going to get into details about this, and it's going to make a lot of sense, because everything I'm going to say is going to come clearly, okay? And I'm going to break it down, because I do have my notes. I am ready to go. I am ready to back up everything, okay? Because it will make sense when I talk about this, okay? Especially, come on. There was another hint at the rebirth idea, because above the screen you see a baby. Come on, a baby. Rebirth, birthing, rebirth. Let me stop. But anyways, now, those of you, let's get into this idea of rebirth and knowing what rebirth is. Okay, now those of you who do not know what a rebirth is a very dangerous, real world. This is real. This is really real. It's in the real world. Cults do the rebirth ritual practice. Okay. And this is a very dangerous cult psychology ritual practice where a person must be destroyed, then remake. They use psychological, emotional, and physical rituals to erase the identity of that person that is going to be rebirthed. There are two different kinds of rebirths. The first rebirth is the divine, the holy divine rebirth, in which we believe souls are reincarnated. And then there's the demonic rebirth, in which we cause or perform rebirths. These cults would sever people's ties to the family, the past, and their identity and the outside reality. Sounds familiar to a certain type of person? Character? So why is rebirth so dangerous? Well, it involves that person who is going to be rebirthed to be in what they like to call isolation, forced emotional breakdowns, sensory manipulations, obedience conditioning, being told your old self is dead and being given a new life. And that is exactly what they have been doing to these kids that they are selecting, forcing that isolation away from the rest of the world, forced to only listen to them and rely on them, manipulate them through these sigils and messages of bad influence on the TV when they are watching these episodes of Man of the Adventurer. And it goes for the same for Rebecca, especially when she is summoned. When she summoned the anomaly, when her dad came into the room, because when Sam went into that room, something must have triggered Rebecca emotionally that caused her to break down that way, and that energy had summoned that anomaly. So, like I said, we don't know what happened, what went down in that room, but something really had triggered Rebecca for her to break down that way, for her to have that amount of energy to summon the anomaly. But of course, and then I can understand for her to feel that way, because of course she does not know that her adoptive dad was being kept captive, being being held hostage. She didn't know any of that. Who knows? Maybe Hameln was giving her the idea that her adopted dad just betrayed her, or left her. Who knows? So she just had these emotional breakdowns, and when she does have those emotional breakdowns, they try to use Sam in those videos to try to comfort her, try to get through, so that way they can keep making these episodes of the Man of the Adventurer. And of course, because of these severed ties from the outside world, it allows Hameln, these people, these kids, even Rebecca, to only rely on Hameln, because that's the only people that they can only rely on. Being rebirthed can cause a lot, and that can include dissociation, trauma bonding, in which we saw that a lot between Amanda and Chicken Scratch, which of course between Rebecca and Jordan and the Amanda Adventure 3, when they were bonding like emotionally, and I thought that was like truly touching though. And loss of autonomy, severe dependency, and also that personality fragmentation. And that personality fragmentation really stood out to me, because that's when you feel like your personality has become split and you don't feel like whole. You don't feel whole. And that's where you have a lot of mood swings. And we know a particular character who feels that way. And it explains why Rebecca as Amanda was acting the way she did in the tapes, in the episodes, in the game series.
Sometimes I feel myself rotting.
You know, with such a personality like that, and not even trusting us, and why even Aunt Kate had quoted that when she was speaking to Rebecca, she was volatile.
Even know that it's her.
It is, but she's too volatile. That's the tricky part. We don't know where she's coming from.
You know, as if she was too tense or hesitant to, or even uncomfortable to open up to her. And it took until finally at the end of the game, where we finally was able to have Rebecca trust us enough to be able to save her for once, you know. And also we saw that in Chicken Scratch, aka Jordan, where they actually helped us before passing away. Rest in peace, Jordan. So what if Hameln was luring these kids, taking them in, reshaping their mind through these experimentation biochemicals and these pods, destroying them and giving them a new identity by sending them through the show, through the pod, like how Rebecca came into this new identity of Amanda, like how Jordan came into this new identity of the possum, aka Chicken Scratch, as with Amanda, Rebecca gave the new name of, you know, because it does make sense. Because now here's where I'm going to get into the effects of Rebirth. And this is going to be a lot, so please forgive me if it's going to be a bit triggering for some people, and it would be, so I do apologize ahead of time. So first things first, one of the effects of Rebirth is loss of personal identity. They would have a sense, they would like not have a sense of who they were before, and they will have not so much of confidence in their own actions, such as making poor decisions. They will feel empty, disconnected from themselves, and we have seen that in few of the episodes from the Amanda the Adventurer from the series 1, 2, and 3. Another effect of this rebirth, this ritual practice, is the trauma and dissociation. And this is when the brain can respond with the person feeling the brain can respond with feeling what's unreal, and like the memory gaps, in which we have seen this first in the episode of in my neighborhood, in Amanda the Adventurer 1, where she was trying to remember who her friend was, and which we help her remember, which was Aunt Kate.
Her name is... Wait, I don't remember. Can you help me?
We can come back tomorrow. You don't have to send that now.
No, I have to send this to my friend.
Panic reactions. That is another effect of trauma and dissociation. That emotional blunting and intrusive thoughts. And of course, we did have seen Amanda or Rebecca had these intrusive thoughts. Another effect of the rebirth is emotional dependency, which is that psychological captivity, like you feel like you're trapped, you know? And that would be the extreme fear of leaving, the guilt for having these independent thoughts, even having panic, even feeling panic at disagreements. And we have saw that a couple times with Amanda. Another effect of rebirth is the loss of outside relationships. And of course, I talked about this earlier in the beginning of this topic, that you will have family estrangement. That means you will be lose ties with your family. You will lose your friendships with people, and you will be in isolation, away from everyone. That's another effect of having this rebirth. Another effect of this rebirth is impaired judgment and moral confusion. And what I mean about that is that this would override the person's own conscience. You know, they will accept harmful behavior as necessary, and they will feel justified breaking the rules or laws. As we have known, they will feel like the actions are right and necessary. And we've seen that a lot in the Amanda the Adventurer series, when Amanda was making these decisions and doing these actions, which of course is not right. It's not right. You're breaking protocol. And also, last but not least, one of the effects of rebirth is, of course, you will get mental health issues, such as, well, I would say mental health diagnosed, such as depression, PTSD, identity confusion, trust issues, guilt, and shame. And this is exactly what we have seen in Rebecca as Amanda in the show. We have seen all these things in her, in which, like I said, this had touched me truly, because as I'm going through this, and when I was looking at these effects of this rebirth, I felt so bad. Like, even though I know this is a game, but just imagine, like, because as we all know, I know, and some of you may already know, like, Rebecca is an adoptive child, so she may have a traumatic life before she was adopted, before she even became to be in the adoption center. So she may have had a traumatic or rough life beforehand. So enough of that. Enough getting emotional. Now, doesn't all of this make a lot of sense now of what I'm trying to say on what the children and Rebecca are being stripped of and being created to be part of? I mean, what if this is what they are being rebirthed as? Like, because as we know, the Amanda the Adventure show is perfect for this kind of generation, because of course this is the TV show era where all the kids are watching public broadcasting TV. You know, we are now into watching kids shows, you know, where the guy gets our attention, and it's the perfect lure to be able to observe and be able to get the attention of these kids. and that would be therefore why are these children being targeted? And from research, because wouldn't this be practiced on adults too? Yes, the rebirth would be practiced on adults too, but in research, children are easier for this rebirth ritual practice instead of adults, because this is most common with children, because of the innocence. You know, while they're innocent as they are, their identity is still forming. And as it's still forming, they trust anybody that seems authority, like, for an example, like a doctor. They may trust a doctor, or somebody with a lab coat that may seem like a doctor or scientist. Someone we know of, some people we might know of in the particular facility of Hameln. Police or a teacher or even a parent, you know, would be like an authority they would trust, you know, around. So that gives Hameln the advantage to easily guide them. And as the announcer had quoted in The Man of the Adventure 3, that they will shape them, you know. And kids can't tell if they're being manipulated or not. So it's a good advantage for Hameln to take take control of. And their reality framework isn't stable yet. And when I mean reality framework, I mean reality framework is a mental map where a person was to decide what is true, what is real to the world, how does the world works, you know, what is real and what is not real. And of course we know that in the game we thought that the children who were being targeted was the ones who were problematic, you know, bad kids. But from my understanding, and from the paper we saw in the hallway, The Man of the Adventure 3, it doesn't even have to be problematic and bad kids. I think the ones that they were mostly targeting is the ones that are at risk. And the ones that are at risk is, think about it, the ones who has of course maybe perhaps been through trauma, or probably the ones who are unseen of or unheard of, or maybe they have been bullied, you know. They have a piece of something that Hameln sees, and that they know they can easily manipulate that child for. Or, you know, Hameln may see a child like, "Oh, I pick you, come with me. Ooh, let's not listen to our parents," you know, and they just target anyone. Or what if they just target anyone, and it could be any child that they want to choose. But I think that's what, like, what if they were mostly taking the high risks one first, and you know, that's just me. So that is my what if, and my idea of the true purpose of Hameln's objective of kidnapping those children. Now here's what we're going. Now here's the thing that's going to get a bit more questionable, because I know, like, in A Man of the Adventure 3, there was a mural painting of, there was the Sinks River, with the souls being thrown over the river into the underworld, where the demonic creatures were battling the Roman Catholics. There was a mural painting. It was so big too, and there were people that were getting the idea of maybe that's what Hameln's true intention was, you know, of what they might want to do is for the world. But I don't think that was it at all. I don't think that was quite it though. Because I think it was trying to give us like a metaphorically like view of what Hameln is like. Now I'm saying a what if. And hear me out, okay? Because what if it's just metaphorically, just like how the other paintings of the Man of the Adventure 3 are metaphorically like expressing what Hameln is like, you know? What if that's the same thing? Because, hold on, I have my notes. I'm here to back it up, okay? Hear me out, okay? Because what if this mural shows what Hameln's beliefs come from? I think this mural shows what Hameln's beliefs come from, because as we know, this Hameln group is a cult, okay? They have demonic beliefs, okay? Because in this mural, we know it shows it shows the living world, between the living world and the underworld, okay? And it shows the river that's called the Sinks of River, if I'm not correct. I think I'm saying that correctly. But anyways, it shows that the souls are departing over the river from the boat into the underworld, okay? And as we know, that the river of Styx represents between life and death, and like death finality, like somewhere in between. And we see that these souls could be sent to the in between, just like how the children are in the Hameln facility, because the rebirth is the same thing. The rebirth is very similar to between life and death. That's a real belief from the cults. Believe that it's between life and death of the rebirth, and that these demons that we see, this demonic creatures that we see on here, can just be metaphorically representing the cult members and how dark and cruel and dangerous they can be, because of course the cults are like demons. They're bad, they're dangerous, and of course they're the opposition of the divine order. They're traitors to the others, such as hint Catholics, you know, Christians. And we see that the demons, the demonic creatures, are fighting with the Roman Catholics. See? What if this is just another metaphorically exaggeration of what Hamlet is all about, you know? And that's why I feel as if this game series wasn't rushed, though. It wasn't really too rushed, though. It just really takes time to take your time in this game, study, take notes, and collect all you can and just put it together. Really take your time on this. And that's what I did. I really took my time and just came up with these ideas, you know, because there were some things that didn't make sense and there were some things that make sense. So what if, you know? Now, I'm gonna get into the next 3 things that I would like to cover now. As we all know, and as we saw in the Man of the Adventure 3, in the scene of when the protocol security lockdown was happening with, we see that the possum which Jordan is the possum, Chicken Scratch aka, was panicking and was coming on and trying to warn us and help us try to flip the switches to get the elevator working so we can go down to the underground. And of course, Chicken Scratch eventually dies, and we can see that as well in the scenes because he's breathing hard, he's heaving, he's running out of breath, and as a sign he's running out of time himself eventually. And we see these hands, and I love how the scene plays too with him when he's facing the screen and his hands are holding out on there. It's so sad, and he eventually dies, and we all just wondering, like, how did he die? I don't think no one had answered this, because I try to find if anyone has ever answered this question, but I don't think no one ever did. So that's why I would love to get into this, because I have my what if, because like I said, I love to think outside the box. I love to look into things like this. So I kind of have an idea, because there was something that we have came across in the room with the pods and also the big screen of the television generator thing. And there was one particular pod that had an error sign. And if we examine that pod closely, that pod is X582KP01. And if we see the log in the hallway, this child is listed as stubborn and too dependent on others. When I seen the word stubborn, I already have a feeling, that feeling in my chest, like, because we know there is somebody on that gang that is stubborn, very stubborn. And who do we know that for being stubborn on that gang when he comes along and annoys the heck out of Wooly and Amanda? So it's just an idea for me. Like, what if, because we know that Jordan was one of the childs, so what if that pod that had an arrow sign on it, what if that was Jordan's pod and he died because there was an error on his pod, there was a malfunction in his pod, and he literally he helped us everything he could before he passed away. But who knows? But what if that was it? Okay? That's my idea. That's my idea of how I think Jordan passed away. But if any of you guys have any other ideas, please let me know, because I think that's a really good one I came up with. But if any of you guys have any other ideas, let me know. Next one, and I know one of you guys are going to be asking me about this, like, oh my gosh, what about Rebecca's psychic abilities? Now, I hadn't forgot about that, because I'm going to get into that, because I'm not going to abandon that idea, because that could be another factor of why Hameln had used Rebecca. You know, maybe that was one of the factors of why Hameln used Rebecca. Who knows? But of course, Amanda the Adventure Show was a really cool, attracting show that captures everyone's attention. But who knows, okay? So let me get into this. So Rebecca's psychic abilities, as we all know, in the Man of the Adventurer 3 on Amanda's 7th birthday, she talked about how she imagined her birthday presents and how she imagined each of the presents that was wrapped in the presents, and when she opened them, it was exactly the presents as she imagined them, and how she never told anyone, not even her dad. And that was, of course, that was sad to me. But of course, now, can this be a real thing in human life? Yes, because there is human, it's not called psychic abilities, but it's called human narrow abilities, because these are, well, I like to call real psychic abilities. These are real life psychic human like abilities, those ones that Rebecca describes in the game of Man of the Adventure 3 and resembles closely to. So what if Rebecca had these real life psychic human like abilities? Because one of the abilities, which they like to call in terms of, is called clairvoyance. And clairvoyance is the visual intuition and pattern imagination. And that was one of the things that Amanda described in that event of her birthday. The next one is clairsentience, which is termed as the nervous system sensitivity, which connects to like emotional attunement, like that emotional side of feelings and that sensitivity, you know. And of course there's empathy or empath, which is that high emotional attunement. And of course there are factors on how you can get these real life narrow abilities, and these are the things, and this is exactly what Rebecca has. Trauma exposure. We know that because we knew that Rebecca is an adoptive child. And I think, if I'm not correct, from Sam's interview with the coffee break thing, that she had a bit of a rough life before she came into Sam's life, you know, before she was adopted. So she had some type of trauma exposure. Another one is strong imagination. And of course, this is where that's how the Amanda the Adventurer show originally had brought to life, because of this strong imagination that Rebecca had. And the other one is having caregivers early in life, in which we know that Sam was her caregiver, was the adopted father. So those are the three main key factors to have these narrow abilities. Next thing is, well, of course, why Wooly wasn't affected by all of this. Well, why Marcus Wooly wasn't he affected by all of this? Okay, the whole rebirth, like these Hameln's attention with these children, and, you know, Amanda, and because he was an adult, okay, he wasn't a child. And his job was specifically to provide comfort and stewardship to Rebecca, well, Amanda. So of course he's going to remember everything, and that's why he panics when Amanda remembers something from her past life that she wasn't supposed to remember, you know. And of course Hameln has given specific instructions to Marcus about this, to Wooly about this. Like, she is not allowed to remember who her past identity was. She is not allowed to remember who she was before. So what happened to him at the end of Amanda the Adventurer 3? Well, two things could have happened to him.
And pushing, and now it's all broken! Why do you ask so many questions? Why can't you and your stupid plan just let things be?
And this is my guess. I could be wrong, but like I said, this is my guess. So when characters in the show can violently glitch like that, like Wooly did when he flipped out and he started glitching all of a sudden because he had an outburst, such as that, they would become distort, in which we saw that become fragment and eventually have physical distortion, such as a body part that would disappear or reform into abstract shape, in which we saw Wooly physically transform, distort into a wool, just a wool on the ground. So it could be that, or maybe we just push him to the limit where he could have killed himself. Who knows? But I don't think we could have really killed him, so who knows. But hey, that's all I have for you guys. So I hope you guys have loved this video. I know it was very long, and I hope you guys had had such a snack or a drink to keep you busy about this video. But like I said, like and subscribe, leave comments down below what you think about this video, what you think about this theory I have in the lore. We do have some really great games coming up in the month of February, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I hope you all, oh my gosh, that cake, man. But I hope you all have a wonderful day, and tune in next time. Bye.